Hello, and welcome to the STYNG Talks podcast. My first international guest is the one, the only, the fabulous Conrad. Hello, Conrad.
Hello. Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Little mess up with the time because the British are living 1 hour behind us, so no problem. I slept well. So, did you sleep well?
Yeah.
You had a nap before the show, right?
A little nap before the show because I was.
Now you're fixed up with some caffeine.
Some coffee. Yeah, I've had a little bit of a jam sandwich. So.
Nice.
Sugar fix.
Okay, so before we start the show, I just want to say something in German for my German listeners because they are not used to it that I'm speaking in English. So let me have a little small talk and advise my fellow listeners. Also, liebe Zuhörer, hier ist das Ding auf STYNG Talks. Ich habe heute meinen ersten internationalen Gast, daher wird diese Show nur in Englisch zu hören sein. Aber ich hoffe, dass der eine oder andere von euch des Englischen mächtig ist und auch diese Folge genießen kann. So, back to the topic. As I told you before the show, we've got 3 parts. The past, the present, and the future. And we have also a little game later on and a giveaway. So the listeners can win a copy of the progression session live in Japan 2002 with your signature, right?
Yes, correct. That's
cool. So, and a big shout out to Elijah in the background who's filming that.
Yo.
Okay, let's get started. So we are starting, obvious, in the past. So tell us a little about growing up in Abington, Northampton, where you were born.
Yeah, Northampton, where I was born. I was born in 1972.
Yeah.
I grew up there with my sisters and my mother. My father left before I was born.
Okay.
And yeah, it was kind of happy days.
Okay.
Just sort of growing up and being an infant around the house and around the area. You know, had some good friends and happy times. Just doing things that you do when you're a kid.
And from London to Abington, how long you driving?
I've never actually located myself in London. I was always based in the home counties, which is the areas surrounding London. So from Northampton, I moved to Aylesbury, which is in the home county called Buckinghamshire. And that's, it's only like 50 minutes or so travelling to the centre of London, so it's not too far.
Okay.
But it's not in the city or in the kind of the bounds of London.
Okay. So, how did you get yourself into music?
How did I get myself into music? I discovered a record collection in the home in Northampton, made up mostly of music that my father had left behind. And a lot of that contained blue beat and ska. He had quite an eclectic taste. There was blue beat, ska, reggae, rock, soul, R&B, music of his kind of time. As a young man growing up, he was quite an avid music collector. So there was a nice little collection there, and I think my mum had added to it along the way as well. So there was a selection of the Drifters and Benny King and Sam Cooke, and a really good collection. So as an infant, until going to infant school. I didn't go to nursery. I didn't go to preschool. Okay. So I was in the house alone, with my mum, but I kind of had the run of the house myself. Okay. So once somebody had showed me how to operate a turntable, which we had 2 stereo systems, one in the room and one in the back room. So I could, to my heart's content, run from room to room playing music on different stereo systems.
Okay.
So I was like kind of born into having decks.
Nice.
The mix wasn't sort of focusing on mixing, but running from room to room, playing music and stacking them up on a stacking spindle, and getting to play in the order that I wanted to play them in, and what have you. Yeah, that was my first introduction to playing music.
Yeah, so influenced by the father, like me. My father was a great fan of Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I'm also into the usual British music stuff, like obvious, because my name is Sting, and I named myself after Sting, the pop musician.
Right.
But for copyright issues, I prefer to write myself with an I,
right.
And also from the graphical aspect, it looks nicer.
It looks kind of cool. Yeah, I always used to think that on the flyers when you used to play at the events in Germany. I used to think, yeah, it looks kind of cool. Yeah, Sting.
So, how did you become an MC? What made you think, oh, I want to become an MC?
What made me want to become an MC, I suppose, was it was very practical because it didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Other than, recording equipment. Once home recording became a bit of a trend and something that myself and other friends wanted to get into, and then even then, possibly the person whose studio it would have a microphone. So you just needed yourself, your own voice. And from my love of hip hop, it advanced from doing human beatbox. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends would always rap any of the raps that we remembered from hip hop tracks. And he always seemed to know more raps than me. So I was always having to do the beatbox. I was like, I need to either know some raps or write some raps, but I need to be able to do that. So
yeah, right.
That's what attracted me to it, and caught the bug.
Yeah, cool. So then you got your touch into the rave scene in the early 90s, when I read your description right. How did it become rave so popular in Britain, and what made you think, rave is a nice scene?
Well, it had an organic energy to it. The sound of it was very new, and because of the technologies in music, electronic music, namely sampling and synthesizers and drum machines, and they become very accessible to kind of everybody. They wasn't so exclusive anymore, so people could replicate what they were hearing, and could also influence what they was hearing quite instantly. And hearing that and knowing that it was a very open canvas for bringing your own flavour to it, that was quite exciting, because of the kind of the rules and rudiments of building electronic music that we already learned from hip hop and turntablism. Even though it was still quite primitive, it was exciting enough to have a go at doing that. And yeah, it had a flavour in it where there was a lot of sampling from hip hop acapellas and little bits of vocals that you could get. And that excited me because of the kind of cut paste activity where you could build up different sentences from people's vocals. And I was like, well, wow, I could imagine myself to be one of those voices, if not the whole voice within that performance. And then I'm kind of integrated into that. So that was quite exciting because it just demonstrated an expansion of hip hop to me, but very, very homegrown.
Yeah, cool. Do you remember your first drum bass jungle MC gig?
I do.
Tell us about it.
It was a rave in East London called Telepathy.
Ah, Telepathy.
And it was at this warehouse in, the name's just gone from me. What was the name of the warehouse? It's in Stratford, East London, at Marshgate Lane. Marshgate Lane in East London, Stratford. And very spooky sort of looking area, but you go down this little alleyway to the warehouse. And once you got in there, it was like Alice in Wonderland, kind of lasers and sound systems stacked up, and just an amazing place for kind of nightclub, well, just underground nightclub activity. And the music that I was hearing was a lot more harder edged than what I'd heard in most of the other rave style clubs. As much as there was a house influence, there was more techno, more sort of Belgian breakbeat sort of techno, and the UK improvisation of that. So the UK had already started sampling breaks and speeding them up and putting resampled techno sounds and synth sounds over the top. And the DJ that let me on to get on the mic was Jumping Jack Frost.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. I just think I rushed the stage. I was like, let me get on the mic. And I've never done it before. It was, I just had my hip hop head on. Yeah. And there is a tape of it somewhere. I don't have a copy of it, but there is a tape somewhere in the archives of Telepathy. A copy of that tape is interesting.
Yeah. You have to get it.
I should track it down somehow. But yeah. So since then, me and Jumping Jack Frost have been good friends. He's actually we have the same surname on my mother's side, so it's interesting looking at that in a family bloodline sort of connection. We've only just discovered that recently. But yeah, it's been happy days of MCing since then in a kind of roundabout way.
Yeah. So when did you hear the first so-called, how was it called, intelligent drum bass kind of stuff like Danny played?
I suppose I've always heard it.